Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So today is the big day. That's right. We have Ethereum spot ETFs launching. So let's talk about it. And is it having an effect on Bitcoin? Positive or negative? Let's talk about it. All right, let's do it. Welcome, guys. Bitcoin is a little bit down from yesterday. Is this because of Ethereum spot ETFs, or is it due to something else? Well, let's take a look. But overall, this is definitely not time to be panicking. Even though we have the big Bitcoin conference coming in 2 days, we can certainly see a turnaround up to 70K plus in short order. I'm looking forward to it. I think there will be some amazing things that come out of the conference, and we will see. So as for today, though, the U.S. market is kind of mixed, but we do have a little FUD out there, okay? From one Mt. Gox and from somewhere else, too. So Mt. Gox moves 130 million to Bitstamp. This is pretty normal. They've been doing large transfers to Kraken and now to Bitstamp to a lot of places, right? And they're doing it so that the exchanges can distribute to the creditors. I guess a lot of these, that's how they worked it out, right? With Kraken, they did it exactly that, and they're doing it with Bitstamp. I'm sure they're going to do it with Coinbase, and they're going to do it with Gemini, and they're going to do it with everyone else, right? As of right now, they still have about $6 billion worth of Bitcoin left, about 90,000 Bitcoin, which is a lot less already. They started out with 130,000, I think, to distribute, which means they already gave away 40,000. They still have 6 billion, but you know, what's a 6 billion here or there, right? Germany had 3 billion to give away, and they did. Well, actually, they didn't give away. They just dumped it, right? Mt. Gox is not dumping. They're just giving it back to people, so there's a big difference there. But the 6 billion will be over soon enough, but it's causing some FUD today. The thing is, this has been causing FUD for so many years. I can't wait, and I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the same way. Let's just get over this. Just like rip off the Band-Aid. Just give out 6 billion already, right? Then once and for all, we no longer have to worry about Mt. Gox dumping on the market, right? This has been talked about for years upon years upon years. Every single cycle that we have, we talk about how Mt. Gox is going to dump on the market, and it never happens. It's not really happening right now either. So just can't wait for this to be over. And it soon will be over. So we do have a little FUD around this morning. We also have a little FUD around the U.S. government. We just got done talking about how Trump and his administration, or yes, may be making Bitcoin a reserve currency or a strategic asset if he gets reelected. And how the U.S. government, the Department of Justice, holds an enormous amount of Bitcoin, 200,000 plus Bitcoin. So we just got done talking about that. Yet the Department of Justice seems to be selling off little amounts of Bitcoin at a time. So 4 million was just moved to Coinbase. Most likely that is to be sold, right? But why now? Why 4 million? Do they really need 4 million? What is it going to do exactly? No one knows. Okay, but they are selling it. And they have 14.6 billion. So they have approximately 213,000 Bitcoin, worth about 14.17 billion. But they also have 50,000 ETH, 176 million, and they have 121 million in USDT. See, why did they need to sell off any Bitcoin at all? They have 121 million ETH. USDT. They have a stable coin. If they needed a 5 million, or what was it, 5 million? 4 million. They could just take it out of USDT. So that doesn't even quite make a whole lot of sense. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. It's really strange. They have USDT. Maybe they don't even realize they have USDT. Maybe they just think they have Bitcoin. They don't have anything else. Maybe that's the reason. They have 122 million. Why do they need to sell out $4 million worth of Bitcoin? That makes no sense whatsoever. Anyways, I can't explain that. We will see. We will see what happens. Hey, we have a little bump right there. Little fake out bump upwards. Anyways, moving past this, don't know what the U.S. government is doing with that decision, but we know even with all the FUD, okay, what's really happening is the big money and the smart money, they are loading up, right? Regardless of what the U.S. government is doing or what Germany has done or what Mt. Gox is doing or all this fuddish things that you cannot control. What you can control is what you do, right? And if you pay attention, the big boys are loading up. So what you can do is mimic these guys. You can follow these guys and realize that this is how they're doing it. This is how they're manipulating the market. This is how they're driving retail investors out. Right, with all the FUD, and they load up. So I've already talked about this last night, but BlackRock took in 526 million inflow, right, in a single day. And surprisingly, that's not the largest day. They had inflows of way more, but it is one of the largest. And BlackRock's ETF now holds 335,000 Bitcoins. 335,000 Bitcoins, which is, yes, way more than the U.S. government and way more than Mt. Gox currently. They have been loading up. And here's the thing. I know a lot of people say, well, George, this is not BlackRock loading up itself, right? This is just retail this is just institution loading up. Of course, that's true. But I've pointed this out many, many times. Out of how many days since January till now, despite Bitcoin having huge up and down days, there's only been one day with the outflow. Think about it. Every other fund out there, including Fidelity's, who's absolutely huge, and of course Grayscale, every single other fund had pluses and negatives constantly based on markets. It makes sense, with the exception of BlackRock. BlackRock's I bet only had one day of outflow, and I think they messed up and they allowed it. But every other day is either inflow or zero. They refuse to get rid of any Bitcoin. And I know Larry Fink, he's behind that. He's planning something. And he said, I've covered this. He's putting IBIT into other funds that people don't realize. So he's essentially buying his own fund with his other funds, which means he's loading up. And I'm sure he's loading up on Bitcoin too. We just don't know the addresses. Okay, Arkham hasn't found them yet. There are probably a lot of hidden addresses out there. So what BlackRock and institutions are doing is they're loading up. They're loading up like crazy. Okay, so look at this. Even though BlackRock is the leader at 327,000, Grayscale, despite their selling, still holds 272,000 Bitcoin. Fidelity also just got done mentioning 180,000 Bitcoin. These are not small numbers. These are tens of billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. And then you still have like someone like ARK and Bitwise and everyone else. You add them all together, it's significant amount. Almost 1 million Bitcoin in total. Not $1 million, 1 million Bitcoin, right? So that's what you should pay attention to. Why are the institutions, why are hedge funds and public trade companies, why are gaming companies, and why are just random companies around the world loading up and putting Bitcoin into reserve? Because they now understand, they believe, okay, that this is the greatest asset to hold. Maybe they don't believe it's the greatest asset to hold, but they definitely believe it is an asset to hold that hedges against inflation, that hedges against their buying power and their treasury full of fiat, which basically disappears over time, right? So this is what's important, and I think a lot of people overlook this. Now, outside of ETFs, as for Bitcoin and Ethereum, there's still a lot of great things, okay? It's not just led by ETFs. Of course, institutions are leading the way, though. Minor capitulation about over. Willy Woo's looking at hash ribbon. Basically, you have this convergence, this capitulation, which means that the miners that have been selling, they pretty much stopped, right? And you could see how we had a sudden turnaround, right, from our 54,000 and back up like a V-shaped recovery. And you could see how the hash ribbon, there's a convergence right there. It makes a whole lot of sense. So according to this, hash rate is now coming up. Capitulation is over, and the miners are also not selling. Then this is absolutely huge. It's good. And that means accumulation starts once again, right? Really good. Also, what's good is this. If you're looking at Bitcoin's price versus liquidity, global liquidity, okay, you could obviously see that since global liquidity topped out, Bitcoin kind of stopped moving. But you know what's about to happen? Global liquidity is about to skyrocket later this year and next year. This relates to what governments are doing around the world, including the Fed. We're going to get the very first rate cut. There will be an FOMC meeting this month, but it's virtually impossible for a rate cut this month. The next one is in September. We will get a rate cut in September, and that's when the liquidity starts flowing. In other countries, some have started the rate cuts, some have not yet. But overall, what rate cuts are going to do is allow liquidity to start flowing. It becomes easier to borrow money. Businesses start borrowing, and that's when the money starts flowing everywhere, right? And when the liquidity goes up, guess what? A lot of it gets put into assets like Bitcoin. So that is also something that is about to happen. You can see that there's a breakout happening right now, right? But when it really starts moving again, it's going to be absolutely fantastic, right? So that's also something that's interesting to look forward to. But in the meantime, we got a lot of charts like this. You know, we're in an ascending channel, and Bitcoin is just, it's heading up. Where is it going to go next? Well, it's going to go back to its previous high, about 73,000, formed in March. And then afterwards, that's when we could break into the 80s and 90s and 100s, right? That's pretty obvious. I still think something's happening between now and a few days. We will see. But overall, this is what's happening. We're going according to plan. Despite everything I've just said, which of course can accelerate things and make Bitcoin move in faster ways, or it could make it go higher. But ultimately, when we're looking at a 4-year cycle, Bitcoin is just moving according to plan, right? But we are a little bit accelerated, and we'll see by the end of the cycle if we get that huge top that we can't even predict right now. But if you're looking at this, we had our halving event, which hasn't happened too long ago, only 3 months ago. And you could see after a halving event, there's usually some kind of shakeout, some chop, where the big boys make you think, oh, nothing's going to happen after this halving event. I remember it happened in 2021. I mean, 2020, 2021, when we're going through something that we've never gone through before with the lockdowns and the pandemic and everything, and global markets were crashing, people thought the halving event wasn't going to do anything, that Bitcoin was dead. It once and for all proved that Bitcoin will not follow the previous cycles and cannot go back up anymore. And guess what? And right when people thought that it was over, that's when it started going up like clockwork. It's kind of the same thing right now. We may have to wait a little bit, or maybe we don't. We'll see. But Michael Saylor likes to remind everyone that Bitcoin is the only way to get ahead. So all the criticism that he took over the years about not buying gold, not buying stocks, not buying whatever bonds, who's right in the end? Saylor, right? And that's why so many are following him right now. That's why there's so many institutions and companies buying Bitcoin, because of the Bitcoin strategy, right? Now, outside of Bitcoin, we know we have something else that's happening today. Ethereum spot ETFs. Let's see if this is actually updated. Yeah, starting out at 26.12. Starting out a little bit negative, but we have 5 Ethereum ETFs that have launched today. Okay, we will see what happens. Oh, all of a sudden, it just bumped up. So maybe some of the chop today, besides the flood I mentioned, some of the chop could be Ethereum, because a lot of people are putting money into it. Let's see. Ethereum is actually having this update. It's not really moving today. It's not really moving. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Today is the first day. Let's not forget, when Bitcoin spot ETFs launched, you know, the first week or two, there wasn't much volume. There wasn't a lot of movement or buying. But then I remember, was it like after 2 weeks or after a month or something, that's when things really started hitting, right? So we'll see what the volume is after today. But today's the very first trading day, right? Just like spot ETFs for Bitcoin, once the cat is out of the bag, it's out forever. And for Bitcoin, it has been absolutely fantastic. For Ethereum, can we see the same kind of fantasticness? Yeah. And of course, Grayscale, they changed their model. So this makes me feel a little bit better, because when they first said they were going to launch, they imposed like a really high fee. And then now they've removed it, and they said that, hey, they have no fees for 6 months. That's good. That's good. So it makes me feel a little better that they're not just go dump all their ETH with this open. So we'll see. Ethereum price will be sensitive to ETF inflows in the coming days. Yes, just like Bitcoin, and it could be very, very, very good. If we see Ethereum ETFs have massive inflows just like Bitcoin, you know that institutions are buying and they're loading up and they're removing from the supply, which is absolutely fantastic. We will see. We will see. It's the very first day. Very first day. What else is there outside of Ethereum? 920.7 billion under asset manager Hamilton Lane launches private credit fund on Solana. Well, that's always good. There's a lot of things happening in Solana. And of course, Solana ETFs. Can it happen? People are wondering. Sold to 1,300. Yeah, I think it can happen. I think Sol will be higher than 1,300 by the end of this cycle. I actually do think that's actually pretty conservative. And as for another chain that's very popular is Telegram. 950 million active users. Monthly active users. I have a hard time believing this. I really do. I don't believe there's close to 1 billion monthly active users using Telegram. I know that their click games are very, very hot, but I just refuse to believe there's 1 billion monthly active users. I don't think there's anywhere close to 1 billion monthly active users in all of crypto, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. So I refuse to recognize this. But I do recognize that Ton is doing very well, and they have a lot of active users in their games. But 950 million, that just seems a little sus, according to the kids. All right, let's do some Q&A. All right, let me scroll up here. Nate got keys. Welcome, my man. Bina Dara, I can't pronounce that. Bina Darabazand, thank you for the super chat. Mike, good morning. Let's see. Larry Fink as Secretary Treasury. I don't think he's gonna take the job, but he would be a good candidate. But I don't think he's gonna take the job. The Karens are heavy in the chat today. Oh. What are the advantages of holding ETH instead of buying ETF? Well, you hold it. You hold it. That's the thing. You get to control it. No one could take that away from you. ETH ETF, they charge fees, and you don't really own it at all. They're just offering a share of their fund, which holds Ethereum in it. The thing is, Ben, like Larry, I mean, he's beyond wealthy already, right? I'm pretty sure he's a billionaire. Once you're a billionaire, it's like, what's another billion? I think for a lot of them, they just at that point they're bored. They want something new, a new task, a new goal, or whatever, or they just want more power. All these guys are all Goldman guys, and kind of like the top position for all the Goldman guys is to become like Treasury Secretary. That's like the ultimate job for them, right? After they made their wealth. So for someone like Larry, even if he steps down, becomes Treasury Secretary, he still holds like billions of whatever stocks or Bitcoin that he holds. It's not like he loses his wealth. So he may go from like a $50 million per year job to, I don't know what Treasury Secretary gets paid, but it doesn't matter to him because he already has so much money, right? And to put that on his resume, like Treasury Secretary, very, very little amount of people can do that. So he might, I mean, there still might be a chance he takes it. I don't know. That's only if Trump actually offers it. It's just rumor right now. Benito says, my 70x leverage liquidation price 63K. Why would you have a 70x leverage? That's asking to be wrecked, Benito. You should just close it. You should just close it. If your liquidation is 63 and we're at 66, I don't think we're going to get back down there, but there's always a chance. Maybe it randomly spikes downwards and you're going to get liquidated. Aaron Ketchum. Chances we get a $1 bet this or next year. I hate to say it, impossible. It's not going to happen this year or next year. That's like a 50x. 40x. It's probably not going to happen. Low IQ detector. Prediction on the date of the top of this bull market. I don't know. I don't think it's changed. Maybe like we top out in October and November instead of December, something like that, or it'd still be in December. I don't know. I really don't know. We are moving ahead of schedule. So does that mean that the top is also pushed further forward? I don't know at this point. There's so many new users in Crypto Hamster Combat and forums. Some actually believe the airdrop is going to make them millionaires. Maybe, but I don't believe there's 950 million of them. That's 1/8 of the planet. You're telling me 1/8 of the planet is playing Hamster Combat? No, they are not. So it has to be heavily botted. There's something going on there. That's unbelievable. And this is monthly active users. It's not even total active users. So, I mean, there's something off with that. OPSEC, rebounding songs, hack your thoughts on it. I have no idea what you're talking about. No idea. Patrick Davidson, George, what would you do at Treasury Secretary? I have no idea. I don't even know what Treasury Secretary does every day. Besides just print the money they're told to. Like, I don't know what else you do as a Treasury Secretary. You throw a few press conferences. I really don't know. Like, you can't really do anything on yourself. You have to wait for Congress or the Fed to tell you what to do. You don't really have any decisions. I don't know. As far as I know, I don't know what else they do. Maybe they do have decision making. Bitcoin's dipping a little bit here. ETH. Oh, ETH is still dipping too. Well, I'm zoomed in here. Let's zoom out a little bit. So if you zoom out a little bit, ETH is still just basically going sideways since you know, a week ago. Really about the same. But if you go back, ETH was down here, 2,800. I don't even remember ETH falling to 2,800. And that was only 2 weeks ago. So 2 weeks ago, ETH fell to 2,800. Now it's 3,400. Man, 2 weeks ago, Bitcoin fell to 53,000. And now it's at 66,000. What a golden opportunity to buy the dip. I told you guys. Told you guys to stay strong. Stay focused on the future. Buy the dips. DCA along the way, right? This is the reason why. Because even when it's scary, just 2 weeks ago. I mean, look at that. What kind of percentage gain is that? From the bottom here, even to where we are now, that's 23% right there. 23%. And actually, if you calculate all the way to the top, it was 28%. Again, this is not years out. This is just 2 weeks ago. It's not like I'm zooming out all the way to like 2 years ago. But we are seeing a little weakness today. I'm wondering. It's not due to the U.S. market. Probably due to Tesla, MicroStrategy, Coinbase. MicroStrategy's done up today. Coinbase okay. Nvidia's up. What's that symbol? Ethereum. It's not really updating. I don't know what's going on here. ETH A or ETH E. Oh, you could just actually look up crypto symbols here too. You could just look up ETH. That's interesting. I didn't know that. So you could just look up Bitcoin too, huh? Yeah, you could just look up Bitcoin. That's crazy. Can I speak Japanese? No. Price prediction for Fed ASI this cycle. I don't know, Evan, man. Just don't ask for price predictions, guys. It'll be at least, it'll be higher than where it is now. Let's just put it that way. It'll be a lot higher than where it is now. Did we step into a big bull trap? No. There's absolutely zero reasons to think that besides you just finding FUD for yourself. Keep in mind the biggest FUDster on the planet is yourself. Your doubts is what make you most fearful, not what you read. And there's constantly people that's, oh, there's constantly people always doubting whether a bull run is here, doubting whether we're going to get a top, if we're ever going to get back to previous high, doubting if there's some other major event that's going to bring things down, doubting if crypto is going to get killed off or whatever. You are your own worst enemy. If you remove those doubts and you realize that Bitcoin is the one asset you should hold forever, then you have no fear. Eric Cam, please check out Teamy on Base. Just launched today. Team seems legit. First of all, I'm going to see your channel activity. You had 2 chats before. One good morning, one about some other Brett token. I think someone asked me about Teamy before. This is my iguana. It's pumping pretty well today. For almost 5,000 holders, 2 million market cap, really low. Liquidity, I don't know if the liquidity is locked in. A large burn address. You have a couple addresses a little high. 5%, 3.63. You got a whole bunch of addresses above 2%. Normally speaking, if you want a really distributed project, you want most addresses to be under 2%. You have a lot above, so a lot of insiders or a lot of the team members or early day one guys buying a whole lot. I don't know whether or not that's really an issue. As for name, this is my iguana. Not the best name. I don't know if it's like an anime or something. I don't know, Eric. I wish you well. This is the last dump of Bitcoin before the bull run. Hey, we're already in a bull run, okay? I just got done showing 2 weeks ago, Bitcoin's at 53,000. We're at 66,000. This is not a dump. This is maybe a little pullback from our recent 68,000, but still, even that is very little, right? Why are the ETFs not contributing as to us pumping? Because what you don't realize is there are people that are selling. If it wasn't for, let's say, BlackRock's 526 million inflow yesterday, Bitcoin could have dipped way more because Mt. Gox is still selling, the US government is still selling. There are other sellers in play, right? So the ETFs are simply counteracting that. And plus, a lot of the ETFs are buying, not a lot, I'm sure all of them are buying OTC. So they're meant not to disrupt the price. You know, so that's the thing. But overall, we know there's only so much Bitcoin to go around. And they're removing them from supply. So that's why exchange reserves keep on dropping, right? Eventually, when we don't have enough, that's when prices are too expensive. But overall, we've been slowly going upwards. Greg says, Gareth Soloway gives great advice. He was shorting Bitcoin to 10K. He had a short open and was waiting for Bitcoin to hit 10K. How did that go? How is that advice? He basically made every one of his followers skip the movement from 30K all the way up to 73K, and even now at 66K. So I'm not so sure he gives great advice. Are you invested in Migos? No, I'm not. Someone tried really, really, really hard to get me to look at it, and I'm like, nah, too many, I don't know, too many memes coming out right now. Gray Duck, what a name. Gray Duck Dent Repair of Minnesota. Huge thanks, George. You have encouraged me to DCA and HODL for a couple years now. Excited for the future. I'm glad to hear it. What a name. Great. There we go. Let's give a shout out to this guy right here. Oops. Gray Duck Dent Painless Dent Repair. I think that's you. I don't know. Give you a shout out right there for being a Bitcoin holder. Yeah, I'm in Minneapolis. Anyone living in Minneapolis that needs a dent repair, go to this guy right here. You think we will have one or two more corrections this year? Yes. This year, next year, we always have dips along the way. On their way to the top, there's always dips. I'm about to send my card to support. You should open up Bitcoin payments. Then a lot of Bitcoiners will come. Retro Bill, good thing you exaggerated, so I know you're kidding. But a lot of people reading that won't get it. Oh, by the way, I just want to share with you guys. I've been trying to find a new show to watch, and I've been binge watched a new show called Dark Matter on Apple TV. There used to be another show called Dark Matter years back, and I remember that one. But this new one, it starts out really slow, but it's actually pretty good. I binge watched the whole thing really quickly. But Dark Matter gets a thumbs up from me if you want to watch a new show. It's really hard to find new shows to get into. And The Boys, I did not like the ending of The Boys. I thought there was a bigger build up to some kind of crazy fight this season, but yeah, I don't know. I was under the impression this was the last season. I was kind of disappointed with how The Boys went this year. I thought there was going to be some big build up, and nothing happened. Michelle Omikai. I have no idea what that is. Omikaimi. First of all, the name is so long in Japanese, no one knows how to pronounce it, and that's a problem. So I'll just go with that. That's a big problem. It's been out since October of 2023. No traction until about 2 months ago. So my thoughts are stay away from it. Yeah, I thought the boys, I thought like there was going to be 10 episodes. I don't know why it's 8. And I thought there was going to be more build up in the last few episodes, but no. Now we have to wait another year for season 5 or something. Am I still bullish on Sui and Celestia? Not bullish, neutral. Both of them have great unlock schedules that I didn't pay attention to before. So I think that might be holding them back a little bit. Everyone says Ryoshi's behind some new thing. Okay? And it doesn't really matter if he is or he isn't. It's not like he's Jesus or something. It really pissed me off. Like, I hate like zealots, people that can't be reasoned with. So I'll just share this story. One of the guys I'm close with that fought in IFC 1 and will be fighting again in IFC 3 this week. He represented a project that he argued that for sure Ryoshi created. I'm like, okay, so what? Even if he did, does that make it awesome? Is that gonna make it pump to the moon? And he always argued that, well, it's the purest form of meme coins. Ryoshi, look at what Sheep did, so this one must be good, right? Like, and it gone nowhere. It's basically going to zero. And now he's backing some other project that supposedly for sure is created by Ryoshi. It doesn't mean anything. Just because you get lucky with one doesn't mean that you're going to be lucky with all of them. And there's no proof that he's behind anything else. So, I mean, it's just funny how some people think that's like, it means something. My virtue staff, I know you call it poor man's helium, but World Mobile Tokens at 100K users, going to be back in a month. Want to do a deep dive when they go cross-chain. I know it's on Cardano, which makes it's holding that back. If they go cross-chain, yeah, maybe. I don't know too much about the project. I just know that they're in, the mobile space. So I'll look at it more. Is AIT good? They're up and coming. They have formed some partnerships with other AI projects. So, they dumped down today. And they had a little pump and then dumped down, but overall they've been climbing up. I think they're very young AI project. Why were Elon's laser eyes blue? Is he bullish on ETH? No, I think he just made it blue. I don't know. I have no idea why. And I have not heard him talk about Doge in a long, long time. All right, guys. So overall, we got Ethereum spot ETFs today. Let's see what happens later today and for the rest of this week, right? It's the very first day. Volume could be low, kind of like how Bitcoin spot ETFs started. But look at how much inflows there have been so far with Bitcoin spot ETFs. Could be the same for Ethereum. Let's see. All right, guys. Smash it a like, subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys later. Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.